The night settles softly against the stone. Somewhere in the distance, a bell tolls once, then fades into the still air. Tonight, we will step inside a castle, not as a lord or lady, but as one of the many who lived in the shadows of their halls. Servants who woke before dawn, worked by candlelight, and ended each day in quiet exhaustion. There will be no battles here, no sieges, no banners raised high, only the ordinary rhythm of castle life, slow, repetitive, sometimes cold, sometimes comforting. As you listen, you may picture the stone walls stretching above you, their surfaces damp with the chill of the night. The faint scent of wood smoke lingers. The rushes on the floor crunch softly beneath your steps. Settle yourself now. Let your breathing slow, like the measured pace of a servant carrying a bucket of water across the hall. We will walk together through the hidden truths of life in a medieval castle. The first sound of the day isn't the rooster's crow, but the groan of old wood and the shuffle of feet on a cold stone floor. Long before the sun even considers rising, the castle is stirring, not in the grand bedchambers of the nobility, but down below, in the cramped, shared spaces where the servants sleep. Perhaps you are a scullery maid, no older than 12, sharing a straw-stuffed pallet with 3 other girls. What was it really like to live in a medieval castle? Forget the kings and queens for a moment. Let S step into the shoes of the person whose day started before anyone else and ended long after the last lord went to bed. This is the story of the unseen hands that kept the castle running. The first thing you feel is the cold. Not just a slight chill, but a deep, penetrating cold that lives in the very stone of the walls. It doesn't matter if it's the dead of winter or a warm summer morning. The castle holds its coolness, a constant reminder of its massive, unyielding presence. The air is thick with the faint, earthy scent of damp mortar and the lingering ghost of yesterday's fires. Your day begins in near total darkness. There's no sun yet, only the faint, pulsing red of embers dying in the main hearth. Your bed isn't a bed at all, just a simple straw pallet tucked away in a drafty corner near the kitchens. You share this space with others, so you rise with a practiced silence, careful not to wake those still lost in sleep. The first job is always the same: fire. Without it, the castle is just a cold, dark tomb. You kneel on the unforgiving stone floor, your face close to the ashes. You blow gently, a soft, steady breath, coaxing the grey embers back to life. You feed them tiny, dry twigs, watching patiently as a small flame flickers, then catches. The smoke stings your eyes and catches in your throat, a daily ritual you've long grown used to. One hearth is lit, but there are many more. You move through the silent halls, a shadow bringing warmth to the waking giant. Once the fires are alive, the next task is water. The castle's well is deep, its stone mouth seeming to swallow the life. You lower the heavy wooden bucket on its thick, coarse rope. You listen for the distant splash, a sound that echoes up from the darkness below. Then comes the hard part, pulling it back up. Hand over hand, you haul the heavy rope your muscles screaming in protest. The rope bites into your skin, but you don't stop. You feel the strain in your back, your arms, your shoulders. One bucket is never enough. Few make the journey again and again, carrying the sloshing pails through the echoing corridors to fill the washing basins for the lords and ladies, and to supply the bustling kitchens. With the fires lit and water fetched, the cleaning begins. The great hall's floor isn't polished stone. It's covered in a thick layer of rushaza, mix of straw, by and fragrant herbs meant to mask the less pleasant smells of castle life. But over the days, these rushes become a repository for everything. Spilled wine, dropped crumbs, gnawed on bones, and ash from the hearth. Armed with a simple broom made of bundled twigs, your job is to sweep this mess into piles. It's a dusty, thankless task. You gather the soiled rushes into large baskets, hauling them out to be discarded. It's not glorious, but without it, the castle would quickly become unbearable. By now, the sun is higher in the sky, and the castle is starting to stir. You hear the sharp, commanding voice of a steward echoing down a hallway, assigning tasks, keeping the complex machinery of the household in motion. Your role shifts. Now you are a carrier. You balance heavy wooden trays laden with fresh bread, wedges of hard cheese, and bowls of potager-thick, hearty stew of oats or peas that serves as a staple for everyone. You enter the great hall, now filled with the voices and laughter of the noble family. You move with practiced efficiency, your eyes cast downward. You don't make eye contact. You place the food on the heavy oak table, pour ale into goblets, and then you retreat. You stand against the wall, a silent observer, ready to refill a cup or clear a plate. You don't eat with them. Your meal will come later, composed of whatever scraps are left over after the lords and ladies have had their fill. You and the other servants gather in the kitchen, sharing what you can, your hunger a constant, quiet companion. The day stretches on, a seemingly endless cycle of small, repetitive duties. There are brass candlesticks to be polished until they gleam in the torchlight. There shine a small victory against the castle's gloom. There are heavy woolen tapestries to be taken outside and beaten with sticks, releasing clouds of dust that dance in the sunlight. You might be sent to the woods to gather more firewood for the ever-hungry kitchen stoves, your arms loaded with splintery logs. Or perhaps a lady's maid needs help mending a torn dress, your fingers working a needle by the dim light of a window. You become a messenger, running from the armory in one tower to the solar in another, carrying verbal instructions or sealed notes. Each task is simple on its own, but together they form the unbreakable rhythm of your life. It is a life of service-steady, constant, and largely invisible. You are a cog in a great machine, essential but unnoticed. As evening falls, the castle slowly winds down. The torches are lit, casting long, dancing shadows that make the stone walls seem to breathe. The great hall is quieter now, the day's business concluded. After serving the final meal and clearing the last plates, your duties are finally done. You make your way back to your corner, to the familiar rustle of your straw hammock. The stone walls, which held the cold all day, now seem to offer a strange sort of comfort in their solidness. You lie down, the aches of your body a familiar lullaby. You don't dream of nights or quests. You close your eyes and fall into a sleep as deep and as heavy as the ancient stones that surround you, ready to wake in the darkness and do it all again. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the past. It's a powerful reminder that history is not just about the people whose names we remember, but also about the countless souls whose hard work made their world possible. If you found this perspective interesting, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more stories from the shadows of history. See you next time. Imagine for a moment, leaving behind the familiar noise of our modern world. Step out of the present and walk with me, not into a museum, but into a living, breathing past. We're traveling back 4,500 years to the land of the Nile, where something monumental is taking shape. Look around you. The landscape is vast, a sea of sand under an endless sky. But rising from this desert floor is a structure that defies imagination. A pyramid, not yet complete, but growing day by day, stone by massive stone. It's easy to think of pharaohs, of gods, and golden treasures when we see these wonders. But today, our story isn't about kings or deities. It's about the thousands of hands that quietly, patiently built eternity. Let's focus on one. We'll call him Hori, though his name is lost to time. One among countless others. Hori's day begins before the sun even thinks about cresting the horizon. He doesn't live in a grand palace. His home is a simple mud brick house in a village bustling with families just like his. His legend isn't one of battles won or decrees made. It's a story written in the calluses on his hands and the fine layer of desert dust that has become a second skin. The rhythm of his morning is simple. Breakfast isn't a feast. It's bread and beer, but not the bread and beer we know. This bread is coarse, hearty, made from email wheat, and sometimes you can feel the grit from the grinding stones. The beer is thick and nourishing, more like a porridge than a drink. It's fuel. It's what will power him through the long day ahead. It fills his belly, and for now, it is enough. As the first light spills across the land, Hori joins a river of people flowing towards the construction site. The air is cool, a temporary relief before the sun's full power is unleashed. There's a low hum of conversation, men greeting each other, their voices carrying in the still morning. No one is running. The work is a marathon, not a sprint. It will be there today, tomorrow, and for many, many years to come. And there they are, the blocks of limestone, waiting, piles of them, glowing pale gold in the dawn. Some are manageable, lifted by a small team of strong men. But others are giants, monstrous blocks weighing several tons. To move these, it takes more than muscle. It takes ingenuity and teamwork. Dozens of men line up, their shoulders pressed against ropes woven from papyrus reeds. The ropes strain, groaning under under the immense weight as the block is slowly, painstakingly dragged across a wooden sledge. You see others ahead, pouring water onto the sand. A simple but brilliant trick to reduce friction and ease the giant's journey. The sound of the worksite isn't chaos. It's a symphony of effort. The rhythmic chanting of men pulling in unison. The scrape of stone on wood. The shouts of a foreman coordinating his team. It is the steady, powerful hum of a human hive, all working towards a single colossal goal. Everyone knows their part, their place in this intricate dance of labor. Hori's specific task might be here with the pulling teams. Or perhaps he's a quarryman, cutting the blocks from the earth with copper chisels and stone hammers. Maybe he's a craftsman, a fine mason, responsible for fitting the outer casing stones with such precision that you could unslip a knife blade between them. Whatever his role, his contribution is vital. His legend isn't being carved onto temple walls for all to see. It's hidden in the subtle marks his tools leave on the stone, in the sweat that evaporates into the dry desert air. Sometimes, in a quiet moment, a worker might scratch a small mark or their Team S name onto a hidden face of a block. These aren't grand inscriptions for the pharaoh. They are personal, almost secret. A simple "we were here." A small act of remembrance. A whisper across the millennia that says, "I, a man like you, helped build this." These graffiti marks, found by archaeologists, are some of the most moving testaments to the lives of these builders. As the sun climbs to its peak, the heat becomes a physical presence, pressing down on everything. The white limestone reflects the glare, making it almost blinding. The work slows. This isn't laziness, it's survival. Men seek whatever sliver of shade they can find, huddled against the cool side of a half-placed block. They unwrap their midday meal, more bread, maybe some onions, a handful of dried dates for a burst of sweetness. Voices are softer now, drifting in the shimmering heat. Some men might even catch a few moments of sleep, their bodies knowing how to conserve energy for the afternoon's labor. The desert wind, hot and dry, sighs across their backs. Then, as the sun begins its descent, casting long, dramatic shadows that stretch from the pyramid like giant fingers, the pace picks up again for the final push. Finally, the day's work is done. The flow of people reverses, a tired but steady stream heading back to the village. Hori returns home. The dust of the Giza plateau clings to his hair, his clothes, his very skin. He washes the water, a precious blessing. He eats again more bread, perhaps some lentils or a piece of salted fish from the Nile. He sits with his family. He might share a story from the day, laugh with his children, or simply sit in contented silence, feeling the ache in his muscles. And as the stars emerge, brilliant and sharp in the cloudless desert sky, he sleeps. Above him, the unfinished pyramid stands as a dark silhouette against the cosmos. Hori has no idea that his work will endure for thousands of years. Peeves doesn't know that people from lands he's never heard of will one day travel across the world just to stand in awe of what he helped create. He isn't building for us. He's building for his king, for his gods, for his own time. But in doing so, he built for eternity. His is the quiet legend, the story not of a single hero, but of a collective human spirit. It's a story not written on papyrus scrolls, but in the silent, staggering endurance of the stones themselves. The next time you see a picture of the pyramids, look past the grandeur. Try to hear the faint echoes of their true story, the rhythmic chants, the scraping of stone, and the steady breath of countless men like Hori, who quietly shaped forever. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you enjoyed this story, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more explorations into the past. We'll see you in the next one.